Good morning. Hope you're having a wonderful day. So a little while back, we planted potatoes. Had 3 different types actually that we planted. First time we've ever done it. And now it's time to harvest them. Now, the 3 types that we did, we had an Adirondack Blue, a Yukon Gold, and a Red Norland. Now, of course, those potatoes did really well. All we really did is we started with our grow bags. We had a layer of dirt. We put down the seed potatoes, and we buried them. And then as the plants would break through the soil, we would bury those plants. And then they would break through the soil again, so we'd bury those plants. And we just kept doing that until, of course, the soil reached the top of the bag. So then, of course, from there, of course, the plants, they bushed out. They became pretty big plants and grew well above the grow bag. Well, now they have died back. And from what I've read, that's when it's time to harvest. So I removed the drip line from the bag to kind of let that kind of dry out just a little bit. Not to the point to where the soil is like super dry, but it's drier than it would have been. And I'm going to just start with the first bag, which is going to be the Adirondack Blue. I'm just going to dump it into one of these totes here, and we're going to sift through and see how many potatoes we actually got. Now, like I said, I'm going to start with this Adirondack Blue here. Now, this was actually in the smallest of the 3 bags. So this one we used a 5-gallon bag, while the other 2 we used 10-gallon bags. So let's go ahead and get this dumped in there, and let's see how we did. I'm just going to get in there and start breaking these up and see if we can find potatoes. I'm starting to come across a couple of them here. There's one. I'm just going to put these right back into the grow bag they were in. Alright, well, that did not turn out quite as well as I hoped. So for the Adirondack Blue, we got one little potato that hopefully they'll actually be usable once we cure them here. So, well, I'll tell you right now, that does not have me very hopeful on these next 2 bags. So let's just move on to the next one. So we got one potato out of there, which, keep in mind, we actually planted several seed potatoes, which aren't even in there anymore. And the plants actually grew really well. I mean, these things were strong, very green, bushy. And I did what everybody else said to do. Buried them. I buried them, and then as the plants came through, I buried them, and as the plants came through, buried them, So that didn't work very well with these. So let's move on to the Red Norland. All right, so we got the Red Norland poured in here, and right off the bat, I see a potato. So hopefully this is a good sign, and hopefully this ain't the only one. Now again, this is a 10-gallon bag versus the 5-gallon bag that the Adirondack Blue was in. Again, these are the Red Norlands, so let's get to digging in and see what they do. Right off the bat, I do see something I find kind of interesting here. Let's take a look at this real quick. So I think that this was one of the seed potatoes, and it's basically kind of like just almost like a I don't know, potato sack. I don't know. You could tell that the potato was in here. Maybe it was some kind of covering that the seed potatoes were in. I'm not sure. I didn't even notice that before. I didn't notice any kind of covering on the potatoes. I'm wondering if that's just the skin. Interesting. All right, let's get back to digging in here. Oh, here's another one. This is already starting to be a better sign. It's not very big, but it's still potato. All right, and here we go. This is what we got out of the Norland Reds. Again, not what I was hoping or expecting, but we got one more to do, one more bag to go through. So maybe, just maybe, that one turned out a little bit better. Let's find out. All right, and this is the Yukon Gold, and right off the bat I can tell you, I can already see potatoes. Now, one thing to note with this one, this particular bag did actually have the most plants that seemed to have sprouted through the very top. It also had the largest plants. So hopefully these ones did a lot better, but with the way the other two have gone, I'm not quite holding my breath yet. So let's find out, see how we did. So let me go ahead, get these rinsed off, and we'll show you what we got from it. So there you go. There's the Yukon Yellows. Definitely more of those than obviously the Adirondack Blue or the Red Norlands. And to be honest, I'm not 100% sure why. This could have been because I started them way too late, which again, I'm pretty sure that is part of the issue. I started them late. I probably should have started these at least a good 2 to 4 weeks earlier than what I did. It could be because of the containers themselves. Perhaps 5 and 10 gallon containers are just too small. Maybe I need to actually do these in like a 20 or even 30 gallon bag. I may test that later next time I do potatoes. We'll see what we decide to do with that. I'm leaning towards more space needed, and they should have been started earlier. So there you have it, our first potato harvest. Not exactly what I was expecting or even hoping for, especially with these Adirondack Blues here. I was really hoping to actually get a good amount of these. Something about little purple potatoes is, just kind of cool. So I was hoping for more of those. And again, I think part of the issue is time. I planted them too late. Should have been at least a good 2 to 4 weeks earlier. And I think space is definitely an issue. So I may end up actually going ahead and doing, a 20 or 30 gallon bag next time. Like for example, this weird looking one right here did, I think, get kind of root bound. I think that's why it turned out the way that it did. It's just really weird looking. That could also be why I got a lot of smaller potatoes versus some of the larger ones here. Now, time could be a factor on that as well. I really don't know. It's our first time growing, so this is a learning process. What I do believe, though, is that yes, you can grow potatoes in containers. And I do believe, if done right, you can actually come out with quite a few. Granted, like this one here, I only got the one. Mind you, I think there were 5 or 6 seed potatoes per bag. Now, that being said, the other two produced more than what I'd planted. So I will still consider this a win as far as those. The Adirondack Blue here, obviously a failure. All right, so this one didn't work. But that's the nature of learning. That's what we're here to do, is figure out how to do this. I just took what I'd seen online and various videos and blog posts and things of that nature and tried to apply it myself. And that's pretty much how I've done everything here so far. I've done what I've read or heard, or people I've talked to in person. They'll give me some suggestions and ideas, and so then I go with it. Now sometimes I kind of give it half effort, and when that happens, sometimes I get half effort results. Sometimes I get extraordinary results, so there is that too. Gardening is kind of weird when it comes to stuff like that, but that's why we're here. We're here to try this stuff out and just learn how to do it better. So next time we'll see if we can't do this better. So that's going to do it for me today. I got some other stuff to take care of later on this afternoon. I do have some stuff out here in the garden that I'm going to be doing this evening. We've got to discuss these tomatoes. These things are crazy. So be on the lookout for that video. And otherwise, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following us and supporting us on our journey. And overall, just thank you. And we'll see you on the next one.